Hey there, Tad Hargrave from Marketing for Hippies with some advice for musicians. Every once in a while, a musician will ask me, "So what you do? It's marketing for hippie stuff. Is it useful for musicians?" And I would say yes, but there are other people who are much better at it. One is Chris Farrow with creativemappingproject.com, and I'll put his link in the description below. But there are some things I do have advice. I've hosted a lot of living room concerts for friends of mine who are musicians. Corin Raymond from Ontario, Scott Cook from Edmonton, OQO from BC. Anyways, it's been one of the joys of my life is hosting shows. Tequila Mockingbird Orchestra, for anyone who remembers them. And yeah, what a great time. So I've got a love for musicians. And I see that a lot of musicians do a lot of things wrong in terms of their marketing, or could do better. So these are just some of my thoughts on the best ways to market as a musician. Of course, the most important thing is the music and making sure that it's good and that you find your own style, because it's very easy to copy somebody else's thing. I remember I saw a show in Edmonton, I think it was called Edmonton the Musical, and it was an ambitious project. I admire the scope they were going for. They had 40 local Edmonton bands playing it, so it was a musical, but instead of the actors singing, they had a band play, so 40 bands, so there were 3 stages on stage. They kept swapping them out, and it was it was not good. And part of it was every band felt so generic. It was like a bar band. There were no bands in there that I thought, wow, what a great band. And they all sounded the same to me. So if your music sounds the same as everybody else, I remember the first time I heard Rufus Wainwright's first album, it just stopped me in my tracks. I thought, I've never heard music like this. This is so unique. The first time I heard the Shins, I said, whoa, what is this sound? So that's the most important thing. Do you have a sound? Do you have your own thing? Nothing matters more than that. But, that doesn't happen overnight. So as you're working your way towards it, here's some other thing. Now, a lot of these tips had to do with touring, I was wanting to do this video actually a couple of years ago, and then the lockdowns, I thought, well, these tips are useless now. But if you're going to tour, oh my, have a database, keep records. Of course, you have your general email list. But when you're in town, to find out who are some of the key people in town. When your fans are there, get their cell phone numbers, get their emails. And if you're on Facebook and some of these people add you as friends, you can create friends lists in Facebook and start to organize people geographically so that when you're coming back into town, this just happened. A friend of mine, Andrea Ramelow from Toronto, she was in Edmonton. I got a personal direct message for her. Hey, I've got a show. Are you coming? And I did. This happened, Corin Raymond, I mentioned before. He, just gonna sit down. My arm is getting tired here. Yeah, my friend Corin Raymond was in doing an online show, actually, and I got a personal text from him saying, hey Tad, I'm doing this online show, I'm really excited, I'd love to see you there. And I went, brought a date. So don't underestimate the power of personal outreach when you're touring. Hey, I hope you can come. If you could bring some friends, I'd be so grateful. A total game changer. It can make the difference between nobody being there and a nice crowd being there. So there's that. Also, if you've got your own sound, it's really good to think about, okay, people are into our sound, our aesthetic. Like, where do they hang out? What are the scenes they're a part of? Because there isn't just one scene. There is no mainstream anymore. So it's really good to be thinking about what are the hubs for your particular style of music, the themes that you sing about, that kind of thing. I did a workshop for painters, and one of the painters really wanted to focus on very realistic botanical art. Well, there's a whole set of hubs for that. So there's that to think about. I used to tour my workshops, and oh man, you better believe I got the emails. This is the thing, you tour, you do a gig, and you get some emails for that night, for the show. Well, do they all go on the same email list, or do you make sure you have an Edmonton email list, or a Toronto email list, and a New York or Brussels email list, so when you go back, you email those people specifically? And you could send personal emails, if you know them or remember them. Becoming friends with the bartender, really connecting with the promoter, that kind of thing. And if there are people you remember connecting with, you can even keep track of that. Oh man, I remember this person, we had a great connection. And you have a little separate list for them. And you say, hey, we're going to be at the bar setting up, or like, hey, do you want to come early, hang out with us, or do you want to come hang out after the show? It'd be great to see, maybe we can go out. You may not even remember who they are until you see them. Oh, yeah. But on Facebook, much more likely. So people think about marketing as some kind of devious set of tactics, but it's really about deepening. One of the things we want to deepen is our connection, deepen our relationship with our fans. And so, of course, if they're following you on Instagram or Facebook, then you're in their life more often. You're deepening that connection. And then, gosh, there's so many other thoughts here. If there's Corin Raymond, who I love, I'll just talk about him all day. He funded one of his shows on Canadian Tire money. Now, if you're in Canada, you know how outrageous that is. If you're not in Canada, it won't take too long to describe. But he funded an entire album, paid all the musicians, the studio on Canadian Tire money. And it was such a crazy story. It was in the Financial Times. It got so much media coverage. And he made a show about it, a fringe theater show called Paper Nickels. And at that show, he sold his album. So there's ways to repurpose this. If there's a really good story to your album, you could do a show about it and then sell you could sell the albums at the show. There's so many innovative, creative ways. Anyways, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I've got that I think is real gold. Oh, of course, at your shows, encouraging people to post. Take photos, share it up. Pose for photos with, folks after that it's shared, that people start to know you and what you do. I mean, the Grateful Dead, genius marketers, encouraged people to record their gigs. And people, I'm a friend of mine, Sam, remember when I was growing up, he had he must have had 50 audio cassettes of the Grateful Dead. 50. It was just this whole, drawer full of them from different shows. And so, certainly one could encourage that. And is there anything else that feels most important? There's probably more to say, but check out creativemappingproject.com. Again, I'll put the link below. Chris Farrow is brilliant at helping musicians figure out how to create a lifestyle that's going to, work for them, and has a lot more to say than I do. But whatever you do, if you're touring, here's one other thing I'd say. If you're touring, it's so much better to go back to a few places and deepen your connections there than to always be hitting new spots. With my marketing workshops, it was Toronto, Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton, maybe London, England. So you pick a top 5 or 10 and keep going back to those places, keep deepening the relationships. The hardest gig to do is the first one, unless you've got a really good promoter. That's the toughest one. Nobody knows who you are. They may have never heard your music. You may be opening for somebody as a band. But if you go back there, hey, I remember the bartender, and you're friends with them on Facebook, and you're excited to see them, and you start to recognize people. You start to build a following in that town. People are excited to see you come back. Hanging out after the show, that's probably where most of it happens. You hang out after, you talk to people in the audience, you build these connections, you add people on social media, you get their contact info. If you feel like, maybe you get their cell number if you feel enough of a connection with them, like, hey man, you're great, next time I'm in town. And then there are ways, in your contacts, you can create texting lists, you can create contact lists. So when you're going back to town, you just, on the drive out there, while you're driving out, you're just sending texts to people. Hey, we're coming your way in a week. It'd be so great to see you. That kind of attention to detail. The same at restaurants, hey? There's a restaurant in Edmonton, Tres Carnales, amazing authentic Mexican food. And the folks who run it, Danny and Chris, when they were starting it, the first 3 years, they were on the floor all the time. Hey, do you want a shot of mezcal? Hey, you want to... they knew my name. Tad, good to see you. It made such a difference. So, okay, I'll end it there. It's already over 10 minutes. Those are my thoughts for musicians. If you have any thoughts for musicians, I would love to hear them, because I have so many musician friends. I'd love some more tricks in my back pocket. So if you put them in the comments below, I'd be so grateful. And if you know any other resources, any other marketing folks who help musicians specifically, because of course I'm mostly focusing on the touring, but there's online, there's so many other ways musicians can make money. So if you have any other ideas or resources, please put them in the comments below. Thank you so much. If you want to get more videos from me, hit the red subscribe button and the little bell icon. There's a lot of free stuff at marketingforhippies.com.